Ang mga problema na hinaharap natin ngayon, ang katapat ay hashtag ay may solusyon. Ang ugat ng problema ay bigyan ng solusyon. Humahashtag ay may solusyon.
Good morning to everyone. First, may I greet the honorables. Senator Risa Ontiveros, my constant ally in many efforts for good governance as well as social development far beyond the brutish world of politics. Also, Representative Alfred Vargas, Kailian from the North, and surely a distinguished sponsor in the lower house of the same national evaluation endeavor. Our guests and experts this morning, may I greet Dr. Azucena Dayanghirang, Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa. Surely those are familiar names, and I suspect you may be married to someone from my hometown, Batac, Ilocos Norte. Dr. Crystal Haijing Huang, our economist on board, and of course, our very own Ron Golding of SEPO here at the Senate. It's a joy and privilege to once again introduce this act establishing a results-based national evaluation policy, which seeks to capacitate with the whole of government approach, multi-year projects and programs undertaken by government, often huge in scale, utilizing funds from myriad sources such as the national budget, domestic and foreign loans, grants, donations, any which where financing can be found. And these are time-bound, indeed measurable, and they follow a life cycle where activities undertaken should lead to desired objectives and clear-cut results within that lifespan. However, as we know, sadly, here in the Philippines, the flagship Build project has encountered all manner of struggle, delay, and confusion over the past few years. Certainly, it has been a great disappointment and difficulty for many of us to understand why it should be so. What is clear from this experience is that much needs to be improved within the government project cycle, which has been more marred by extensions, cost overruns, outputs, and outcomes that have nothing in common with the desired objectives. Truly, this disappointment could have been avoided had there been regular monitoring and, above all, critical, analytical evaluation of what had occurred during the lifespan of the said project. By monitoring progress at every stage, identifying problems encountered, and ensuring that the project is really and truly on track. However, this has not been undertaken with any seriety or dedication. These well-meant endeavors, though funded indeed and prioritized, have not managed to ensure intended results within a timely basis, also within the costs allocated. While the other versions of the bill refer to the OECD DAC guidelines, my bill explicitly indicates from the title that a results-based national evaluation policy and system must be in place. After all, this is the international standard for MNE, and we might as well adopt it. They are deeply interlinked with the results-based management principles that we wish to uphold in the National Evaluation Policy. As stated in the title, my bill seeks to establish an explicitly results-based national evaluation policy, thereby institutionalizing and legalizing what should be interlinked with the global standard of the OECD and DAC. This is important so that we have fully integrated and updated M&E systems. Further, if you will notice, the bill that I have is aimed to apply to all branches of government, not merely the executive, as was previously stated, but including the legislative as well as the judiciary. In fact, I also, as a former governor, would like the same system of results-based management to be imposed on projects at the LGU or local government level. Many of the local governments are more than ready to implement such a monitoring and evaluation system. And certainly many of them have embarked on huge projects over many, many years that are urgent and truly important. The purpose of the RBNEP is to harness the enormous potential of evaluation analysis to alleviate poverty, improve the lives of Filipinos, ensuring that public policy, projects, and programs are informed by evidence, by data, and most of all, driven by results. It should be noted, of course, that no MNE system, results-based or otherwise, OECD imposed or not, relies entirely upon the creation of an enabling environment that will allow independent, professionalized, and truly capacitated evaluators in the process. Truly, evaluation depends a great deal on good planning of ongoing activities. Certainly, good planning focuses on results, on implementation, on effectiveness. It has been said that the Philippines is too good at planning, over-planning to every degree, and yet fails in enforcement and collapses with implementation. How true is that, after all? Without proper planning that is based on data, that truly is projected, coming from evidence and information from the ground, without a clear description that is measurable and time-bound, of objectives at every phase, of the scope of the intended results, it is not clear what we are monitoring, and whatever we evaluate doesn't see the light of day. Whatever we evaluate fails to impact on the future of the project. This is where we need results-based management. I think your choice of the Philippine programs on nutrition is a particularly good area to start M&E. Certainly, it is time that we evaluate all these myriad efforts that are multidimensional indeed, very often even conflicting and in complete contrast to each other, approaches that in one way or other to some department or stakeholder appears to be a legitimate and viable approach, and yet in its result has been miserable. It has to be admitted. Despite decades and billions spent on nutrition by the national government, the reality is the World Bank sees childhood stunting as a critical economic problem to the development of the Philippines. As the chairman of the Economic Affairs Committee, nutrition and child stunting that results from the lack of it is certainly an economic developmental issue. To date, we continue to see almost 30% of children between the ages of 1 to 5 years old being malnourished, resulting in a third of them being stunted. Never mind the height and weight, but more importantly, permanently stunted in their brain development and growth. That is a tragic indictment for any nation. And yet has the Philippines truly failed in its efforts? If you could bear with me, this after all is budget season, and looking at the budget and evaluating GAA 2020, one wonders why the child stunting and malnutrition numbers of the Philippines continue to dismay and disgrace this country. After all, we seem to be putting aside sufficient budget, thus recognizing the importance of evaluation and monitoring of data gathering and information analysis of good results-based management. Let us finally embark on a serious and committed evaluation policy for the Republic of the Philippines. It is time that we benchmark and measure against the global standards already provided by the OECD that have passed and been institutionalized to great effect in other countries. It is time that we bring about a better Philippines, and with your help and your thoughtful solutions, your innovations and creative mandate, I am sure with committed data gathering, great information analysis, and an evidence-driven planning framework, we will finally have a national evaluation system that the Philippines deserve. Congratulations, therefore, to CPBRD, to SEPO, for this National Evaluation Forum. The second time that I've been here, hopefully not the last, and do please provide me with the results of your conference so that we may be guided in the future. Let lawmaking and budget financing be informed, enlightened, and inspired by your hard work. Thank you and good day.